Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Kevin the Tech Ninja here, and today we're doing a comparison between the iPhone 14 and the Pixel 7. This is Apple's cheapest iPhone 14 and Google's cheapest Pixel 7. How do these phones compare? Well, let's talk about it. The iPhone 14 from Apple starts at $799 for 128 gigabytes of storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM. You can expand the storage up to 512 if you wish, and it does come in 5 different colors. The Pixel 7 from Google starts at $599 for 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, and this comes in 3 different colors. Out of the gate, the Pixel 7 is $200 cheaper, plus it has more RAM. So value-wise, it has to go to the Pixel. Now let's talk about design. I feel that the Pixel is just a better looking phone overall. You know, from its unique colors to its camera bar that wraps around the phone. I mean, it looks like a modern phone. The iPhone 14 is just a basic looking phone with the same boring design that we've seen from Apple for such a long time. The phone is lighter and skinnier, and you know, if size is something you think about and you want the smaller phone, then the iPhone is going to be that smaller phone for you. But overall, the Pixel is just a more modern looking phone, and I think the design is better. The display on the iPhone is 6.1 inches, which overall makes it smaller than the 6.3 inches found on the Pixel. The display gets brighter on the Pixel, and it also has an always-on display compared to the iPhone, which does not have always on display. Overall, the display has better specs for the Pixel, but when using it and comparing the phones side by side, I couldn't tell a difference in anything unless I was in direct sunlight. But as far as the black levels, the crispness, how the text looks, and just the colors, all that looks exactly the same. Now, when using the phones day to day, there isn't much difference outside of the obvious one being on iOS and the other one being on Android. You know, as of today, I feel like iOS is getting pretty stale, and I feel like iOS needs a major overhaul. I do feel that the newest OS does provide some new features and ways to use the phone, however, it does not apply to the non-Pro version. The Pro version gives you new things like an always-on display and also dynamic island, but those things cannot be on the standard version of the iPhone 14. The Pixel gives you Android's latest, and you also get that Pixel experience, so you have access to Google Assistant, which is really clutch if you use it correctly. You can use it to allow it to wait on hold for you. You can have it do the call tree, so you call a number and it gets you to the right department without you pressing anything. It can also screen your calls too. There is a deep level of integration with Pixel software, but check out my full review to learn more about it and kind of show you how I use it. I know I talked about colors a lot, but you can definitely change the color of your phone using one of these skins from dbrand. They're my sponsor. They make amazing skins that allow you to change the look of your phone. Also, their new cases are really dope. Pick yourself up one, hit the links down below to do that. So I do find even today in 2022, when comparing apps, you still get a better experience on iOS, and also there are some apps that I use daily on iOS which you cannot find on Android. So that's what makes it truly hard for me to switch. For example, like Apple Pay and Face to Unlock, those are great things that are baked into iOS, whereas on the Pixel, the Face to Unlock doesn't work great, and Google Pay just isn't the same when it compares to Apple Pay. It's not as widely accepted, doesn't work as well. It's kind of what I've experienced. And also when it comes to buying things on the phone, I feel like Apple Pay kicks in a little bit easier than what Google Pay does too. But even beyond that, when you compare AAA apps, I feel like iOS still has an advantage. And also when it comes to gaming, iOS is just better for gaming. You get more AAA games, you get them sooner, and you really have more features. But for software experience, I still need to give it to the Pixel. You know, that deep level of integration with Google services just cannot be beat. But if you're deep in the Apple ecosystem, then that doesn't matter. You know, outside some specific applications or gaming, I really feel like Android is still better in that sense. So that gap I did talk about as far as the apps is still there, but it's not as bad as it was. So the Pixel is known for its camera and its real tone color science made to give people their actual skin tones. Now, Apple doesn't make it a point to talk about skin tones as much, but they do talk about it in their keynote. And I think Apple does a great job as well. You know, both cameras are great, but just like the Pro versions, I think we run into the same things. Now, firstly, the Pixel has 2 cameras, a 50 megapixel wide angle main sensor and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. The iPhone 14 has a pair of 12 megapixel sensors. The 12 megapixel sensor is starting to get dated compared to the higher res of the Pixel. Not only is the Pixel sharper, but it has much more detail too when you're taking photos. I do find the iPhone to be better when it comes to action shots and also the motion video mode, but every other shot the Pixel does better overall. Even when we go to the front-facing camera, it's more of the same. The iPhone is pretty good, but the Pixel is just that much better. I'm not saying the iPhone is bad with cameras by any means. You know, you take a picture with an iPhone, you're gonna enjoy that image, but there's something about a Pixel that gives you that extra oomph. There is just something more that just makes the Pixel pop out. I mean, the images are pretty contrasty and they're really punched, but I think it serves a cell phone really well when you look at these pictures. Just something is much more attractive about it. The Pixel video system is lacking compared to the iPhones. Not on specs, but the iPhone just looks so much better and the audio is better too. The iPhone has the best video on any smartphone. Even the regular 14 does a great job compared to anything else on the market. The Pixel needs a lot of help in the video department, and it's far behind what the iPhone can do. Apple does a great job with the video on the iPhone, and every year it just gets better. The battery life for the Pixel has been pretty solid for me. On the flip side, the iPhone does struggle getting me through a full day, and also fast charging on the Pixel does come into handy, allowing me to boost the battery back up fairly quickly compared to the iPhone, which has the same charging speeds as it did previously, because Lightning is kind of archaic and it really hasn't had a huge update. I do feel like the iPhone just feels like an older phone. It feels like we've been here before, and it's only like a month old. Whereas the Pixel feels like a newer phone. The design is more modern, the still camera is better all around, and the software experience is so much better. But it does just come down to the ecosystem for many people. But if you're just comparing them raw phone to phone and considering pricing, it's hard to beat the Pixel 7 in general. The Pixel 7 might be Android's best phone when you talk about pricing, and it might be the best value in cell phones today. But of course, I want to know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them. Let me know down below. It's Kevin the Tech Ninja. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you guys later.